Good morning. Today's the 5th of July 2023. This is my trade review for today and my trade plan even for today. My chart looks a bit different, as you can probably see. I've added a new indicator which is called a volume analyzer, and what this does, it analyzes the volume on your current chart from the start candle through to the end candle, and it gives you areas of condensed volume. So these could be areas of natural support or resistance. Good thing about it, it also draws this orange line, which is called a point of control line, and this line pretty much lines up with most of my zones I draw. So for example, we're on the daily at the moment, and you can see the point of control is hovering around this major area, which is a major area I'll be watching if we ever get a pullback back down to this area, because you can see it literally does my job for me now. Let me open up my pen. It's a great tool. I think you can get it on most platforms. Let's open up Epic Pen. There's a bug on Epic Pen which I've notified them about. Because I use multiple desktops, I flip between different desktops if I'm working or trading or bumming around and watching YouTube or something, or Netflix. I've got different desktops, and so when I open it on one desktop, it won't come open. I have to keep closing the app down. Anyway, so this point of control, this line here, which goes across the entire screen, it actually coincides with areas of convergence, and it would be exactly what I look for. And as you can see, it shows us where this high level of volume, you've got your buying volume and you've got your selling volume, and it just shows you where you could be watching your zones of. So this is looking at a demand zone here, because we've had previous areas where it was the floor, became the floor, then it became the ceiling, back to the ceiling again, and then it became the ceiling there, the ceiling, and it's now the floor along here, and as it broke out. And it's an obvious place, you know, this is no different to me drawing my own lines in, but I just wanted to go through this tool because every chart I open up now will give me this point of control. So moving down into the 1 hour, it calculates it for every chart, even when I zoom in, so it's still showing. So there's a different area to the daily. We've got this area here which happens to be those levels I've already drawn in. Maybe I'm a bit lower, and it may help me just refocus on areas, stronger areas of resistance and support. Anyway, on to today's review plan. We can see yesterday it didn't do much. It just went sideways all day, and it was only open for half a day, and I did trade a little tiny bit. You know, it was a non-day really. Didn't make anything, didn't lose anything. The only thing I lost was my time. But I spent a lot of time looking at this indicator and just studying it. So we can see then over the night, the Asian market must have sold off. I don't know that, but I imagine that's what happened. And we can see this area where it's broken down through this zone I've been watching. So I've been watching that as a demand zone, and I was watching it yesterday as well, and it never quite. My aim yesterday was to short up here and buy down here. And let's just zoom in a bit. I should really have done a review for yesterday, but it was a boring day, and it will be a boring review. So my aim yesterday was to buy on the dips and sell on these pivots and sell on the dips. And I think I did get in there, and I kind of, not very literally small, really small sizes, and I bought down here as well, and just a little bit I was more experimenting really. And as you can see, there's no volume, hardly any volume at all compared to Monday, which was also a half day. And I think if we go back to Friday, you see even higher. Yeah, so look at the volume on Friday. So Thursday high volume, Friday, Monday muted volume, and Independence Day very low volume. So it wasn't even worth. It felt like I was trading the post-market or the pre-market yesterday. Anyway, going into my trade plan for today, so we are looking at the levels from last week still, but there's some slight changes. So this 4400 area around here is going to be a bounce area for me, and you can see on this volume there's a higher level of volume coming into there. So what will happen if I zoom out? Yeah, so this bounce area 4400 and all this area could be really considered resistance. So all this area, I mean, it could be support because there's a lot of volume in this area. But I will be watching this area 4400, 4440, and 4400 is my preferred area to get a bounce from. Today we've broken down through this area, and again we're looking at the volume profile. We've got high volume for this area of distribution, and then we should see higher volume as it's selling off, which we're seeing here. Slight volume increase. Let's zoom back in again. So you can see an increase in volume as it's selling off, coming through out of this distribution zone, and now we're going to see a bit of a sell climate, and I think that's what's going to happen this week. So my very first and high risk trade will be the break which we've had and the retest of this area. So if it comes back up to this area 4480, I'll be looking for a short play, and I'll be keeping my eye on that pivot. And we have natural resistance with this high volume, and like I said, it's making my life a lot easier, this volume profile tool. And we've got this point of control here, so that's where the heaviest congested volume is out of this entire. I think I've got it up for about 30 bars, and this bar here is the heaviest volume on for this price at 44.88. So expect there to be some natural resistance there, and if we do break through, I want to keep my stops tight. I may look for a bounce back down up here as well. So we've got two levels, 44.80 for a break and retest. If the market rallies, then we're looking at 44.88 to 44.90. Remember, these levels are not solid straight lines, but they're kind of like they're a bit more flexible, and it's that area rather than a straight line. And it could, we could see quite a large area. So that's my MES trade plan for today. If we see a bit of a rally and it breaks through this area of volume, then I'll be looking for the high from last week, which will be 44.98 to 4500, 4500. And if it gets up here, it's a big psychological number as well, big round number, 4500. So I'll be looking to layer in with some starter positions for the bounce back down. If it comes down to 44.40, I will be layering in with starter positions. However, I will be waiting for a confirmation, so I'll be looking for a bottom tail candle, which looks a bit like that, and a move back up. So I'll get in on the break of that candle, and I'll be watching the volume. So in theory, we'll have lots of small volume as we're selling off, and then we'll have a big volume spike for this candle. Let's do it under the right candles. So we'll have lots of small little volume candles, and then we'll see this big spot volume spike here, and then in theory we might see a smaller candle, and then the candles will get larger as we're gaining momentum on that bounce. So that's what I'm watching. If we see a big volume, so that's confirmation, and I'll still get in probably on the break of the bottom tail candle. Let's draw it again. So I will try and get in here as it breaks that candle and back up. But if we see volume, so that's our big volume stick, if we see volume which continues to be low or below average, then that will show more weakness in the market, and we could expect it to drop back down again. But if we see increasing volume as it's bouncing, then that shows strength in that move, and then that gives you confirmation to hold it longer. So that's what I'm going to be looking for. Strength in the bounces, and obviously weakness. Same goes for up here, weakness. So it's just describe what I'll be looking for if it gets to the top. So I'll be layering in at smaller positions at 44,898 to 4,500 with a tight stop just above 45, maybe 45.05, this area here. And candle wise, I'll be looking for a big top in tail, and it may go over the 4,500, so because we'll be looking for a fake breakout, it may go over there. So I won't have a stop, I'll have a mental stop, and I'll wait for the bar to close and I'll watch the second bar. If it goes up, then I'll stop out. If it comes back down, then I'll stay in the trade, and I'll have my starter positions layered in as well. So in theory, by layering in, if we do stop out here, I'm only stopping out one of my positions at a full stop. Then my next position at 2/3 of a stop roughly, and my last two positions will be a very small half a stop, one stop, or something like that. So that's kind of the idea. But what I will be looking for in volume as confirmation, obviously I'll be looking for the break down here, and I'll be looking for probably a pullback as for an add, and I'll be watching volume. So I expect to see a big volume spike. Let's do it in lines. I expect to see a big volume spike here with smaller volume below average volume, because that means the market is, the big insiders or the smart monies ran out of inventory, what they're selling to retailers. So you see a bit of a move up, and then you'll start seeing the weakness come in. You see this big candle for this top and tail, and then you're going to see, in an ideal world, increasing volume as it sells off, and then when it pulls back, decreasing volume. So decreasing, and that pullback will be a good add location, and then in theory then you'll see increasing volume again as it's running back down. So that's kind of what I mean by watch for confirmation. Hopefully that helps. A bit of a longer video than I normally do, and I'm really only watching MES. Let's do a very quick one on SPY. This is my daily SPY, and we've got 413 as a high level of volume, which would coincide with areas we'd be watching naturally. That's quite some way off. So let's go into the 60-minute. Okay, that's better. Look at that. So looking at the volume profile tool again, we can see this area of heavy volume up here, which we would expect is in my it was a demand zone because it broke through last week. So technically that was a break of, it's no longer a supply, it's now demand, but now it's come back down, so it stays as a demand, as a supply zone. So I'll change the colour of that to red as a reminder. I'll be looking for a retest, probably around here, if it pulls back in when the market opens. I'll be looking for 445, this area for a potential rejection, basically watching the previous high. And again, I'll be watching the same volume profiling as I did for the MES. So I'll be looking for, I'll be probably getting with a couple of contracts for it to break down with a very tight stop at $445. That would be my stop area. So that's my rejection area I'm watching. It's a higher risk area because we are quite close to it. So wait for confirmation as per the volume. Another area I'll be watching for a bounce will be 439. Let's see. Let's zoom out. See how the volume profile updates. See, it gives very low volume down there, so maybe this could be, maybe it's just going to come straight through that area because there's no volume, and it will start rebounding at this area here, which is 437, which is an area I'm watching anyway. And I've had this area marked up for some time because it is a natural area of convergence where we've got the SPY coming into resistance, and then a bit of bit of sideways movement, you know, where it's just deciding what to do. Basically it's continuing with the trend, but we're just getting an extra area of congestion. And here's something, if you look on this congestion area, which I've marked off with the two yellow lines, you can see the potential breakthrough here, and that is marked with increased volume as well. So whenever we see an increased volume, we need to start paying more attention to that, because that could potentially signal a breakout of the congestion zone or breakdown. So it's something I'll be working on. I've been doing a lot of volume work over the weekend and over the I don't have Independence Day, so that's a day for me just to reflect on my trading and try and make some improvements over what I'm looking for. So going over my levels on SPY, we've got 444 as a rejection area, high risk, to 445 as a stop. 439 was an area, but I'm going to take that away now. Now I've seen how the volume, there was no volume there, so there's no natural resistance and no natural support. We could see 438 as a higher risk bounce, but 437, as per the volume profile here, is a more of a higher probability bounce. 437 to 438, and then we've got this based on the volume profile. So this entire area is a big area of support, so we could see a bounce off of this area. And if it does break back down through this area of previous high volume, then we've got 435, which will be a good place for a bounce as well. And lastly, we have 432, and let's just zoom out onto the hourly and see what the volume profile does. No, it's still, well, that's interesting. 435, oh, here we go, it just took a while. Yeah, so 435, 436 area is the point of control, and that's an area we got marked off. And we got some, yeah, we won't be down there for a while, so that's quite interesting to see. 435, it looks like a big area to 436. Anyway, I hope you find this video of interest, and especially how I'm looking at the volume better now with this volume profile tool, and hopefully that will help me make some better decisions on my levels as well, so I can pick out higher major levels, which ironically I identified last week anyway, but without this volume tool, and also pick up some minor levels as well. So I'm going to be working on that over the next month to determine how well I can buy or sell into these levels. Anyway, this video's gone on far too long. Hopefully you've had a nice long weekend and enjoyed Independence Day yesterday, and I will see some of you today in the trade room. Okay, take care.